Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Physics Tricks. So let's study about magnetic effect of electric current. In this I took all the formulas related to magnetic effect of electric current and some important points. Okay, so we have the first formula in the magnetic effect of electric current, and that is the Biot-Savart law. So what is Biot-Savart law? It gives the magnitude and direction of the magnetic field. Okay, so dB bar is equal to mu naught I dl bar cross r bar divided by 4 pi r cube. So you have to remember this formula as it is. dB bar is equal to mu naught I dl bar cross r bar divided by 4 pi r cube. So just memorize this once, twice, thrice. You will get idea about this formula, right? So what is mu naught now? Mu naught is the permeability of free space. See, the same formula, if you take it in the other medium, that formula will become mu I dl bar cross r bar divided by 4 pi r cube. Mu is nothing but the permeability of medium. That medium's permeability we have mu, that is the permeability of medium, is equal to mu naught into mu r. What is mu naught? Permeability of free space. What is mu r? Relative permeability. Right now, relative permeability is permeability of medium to the it is always with respect to something, right? And here we have permeability of free space, always the relative term, right? So over here I is current flowing through the conductor, dl bar is the smallest element of a conductor, r bar is the position vector of a point where magnetic field is to be calculated. So this Biot-Savart law, if we have a current carrying conductor and if you want supposed to be at a distance d from this conductor, what is the magnetic field? So for that you have to consider very small element dl bar in the direction of the current, and due to this dl bar, what is that smallest magnetic field at a position vector r bar supposed to be? That dB bar you can write mu naught I dl bar cross r bar divided by 4 pi r cube. So this is the Biot-Savart law, right? Direction and all we'll study later. Okay. Now the next formula we have magnetic field due to finite current carrying conductor, and for finite current carrying conductor we have, this is the finite current carrying conductor. Alpha is the angle from the perpendicular to the upper end, beta is the angle from the perpendicular to the lower end. So what is the magnetic field we have? Bp, that is the magnetic field due to this current carrying conductor at point P, is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d into sine alpha plus sine beta. What is sine alpha? What is sine beta? See here. And here three terms are really very important, and that is d, alpha, beta. B, alpha, beta. Okay, so these three terms are very important. What is d? It is the perpendicular distance from the conductor. Right, perpendicular distance from the conductor. What is I? Current through the conductor. What is alpha? Angle from the perpendicular to the upper end. And always remember, if you take alpha clockwise as you can see over here, if you take alpha clockwise, you have to consider it as positive. If you take beta anti-clockwise, you have to take beta as positive. But other way around, it will be negative. Like alpha, if you take anti-clockwise, alpha is negative. Beta, if you take clockwise, beta is negative. So these 2-3 terms you have to remember, and this formula mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. So magnetic field due to current in a long straight wire. Now finite we saw. Now what is the long straight wire? That is the infinite wire. What is the magnetic field? That we have to see. So see here, if you have a current carrying conductor which carries a current I, and this conductor is extended from infinity, and this is still infinity supposed to be. Now if I take, this is the perpendicular distance d, and I want what is the angle from the perpendicular to the upper end. Upper end is at infinity. That indicates if you take this angle to the first point, second point, third point, fourth point, likewise, as you can see, the angle is increasing. We want till infinity. That means the maximum possible angle possible over here is 90 degree. So alpha over here is 90 degree. Likewise, if you consider 1 over here, 2 over here, 3 over here, 3 points over here. So if you consider these 3 points, the angle is increasing. The maximum possible angle also over here is 90 degrees. So sine alpha plus sine beta, that means sine 90 plus sine 90, you will get it as mu naught I divided by 2 pi d. So due to finite current carrying conductor, it is mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. sine alpha plus sine beta. So over here you have to remember one thing in this chapter, and that is mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. This is common in this chapter. Mu naught I divided by 4 pi d, and everything else will modify, right? Like for finite sine alpha plus sine beta, for infinite sine 90 plus sine 90, for semi-infinite sine 90 plus sine 0, right? For circular arc theta, right? That I'll tell, so don't worry. So we have, this is magnetic field due to current in a long straight wire. It is mu naught I divided by 2 pi d. Magnetic field due to semi-infinite wire. So here we have, in the one side it is infinite, but for the other side it is finite. Second, third, and so on. It will go to infinity. That means alpha we have is increasing function, we can say. Beta is 0. Why? Because from perpendicular, this lower end is at what angle? 0 degree, no? Same, on the same line, no? Right? So 0 degree. So we have, this is 0 degree. This is 90 degree. So you will get sine 90 as 1 and sine 0 as 0. So mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. Okay. So this is the magnetic field due to semi-infinite. Now due to arc, so mu naught I divided by 4 pi r, this constant into theta you have to multiply. For arc, what you have to multiply? Just the theta value. So if theta we have for complete circle, it is 2 pi. For semicircle, it is pi. For quarter circle, it is pi by 2. For 1/4, 1/8 supposed to be. Likewise, you can have the magnetic field due to circular arc. Okay, now. So mu naught I divided by 4 pi r into theta. So for circular wire, it is mu naught I divided by 4 pi r into 2 pi. So if you just calculate, you will get mu naught I divided by 2 r. For semicircular wire, it is mu naught I divided by 4 r, and that is how this pi get cancelled. Mu naught I divided by 4 r. To find the direction of magnetic field, we use right hand thumb rule. Now see, what is right hand thumb rule? So you have to consider this current carrying conductor in your hand. So as you can see over here, this is the current carrying conductor. As you can see, this current carrying conductor you have to consider in your hand. Okay, so this is the thumb which we have, and you have to stretch the thumb in the direction of the current and curl the fingers around it. Then you will see that right hand side, these fingers are going into the plane, and left hand side, these fingers are coming out of the plane, right? So magnetic field around the conductor is in the concentric circles, right? So as you can see, is in the concentric circles we have, and this is the direction we have. So I hope this is clear. This is the direction we have. So magnetic field around the conductor is in the concentric circles we have. So and the definition is, stretch the thumb of right hand in the direction of the current, curl the fingers around it, then this curl finger denotes the direction of the magnetic field. So I hope this is clear. Now force on a charge inside the magnetic field. Force on a charge inside the magnetic field is QVB sine theta. Now we can say that if we have current carrying conductor supposed to be, and if you place this current carrying conductor inside the magnetic field, then the force on it, magnetic force on it, we can write it as BIL. Now L is over here, the L effective. That means if we have the loop, which is placed inside the magnetic field, then on this magnetic force you can always write 0 Newton. Okay, now you can always write 0 Newton. Over here BIL effective we have, and for charge we have QVB sine theta, and in vector form if you want, it is Q B bar cross B bar, and for this if you want in the vector form, it is we have I L bar cross B bar. So I hope this is clear. Now this is in the vector form and this is in the magnitude form we have. So BIL sine theta also you can write, and this is the formula for current carrying conductor which is placed in a magnetic field, and this is the formula when the charge is moving inside the magnetic field. So I hope this is clear. So this is the 10th formula: radius, time period and frequency of a charge moving in a magnetic field in a circle. So if you wanted to find the radius of a charge which is moving in the magnetic field, and this charge is perpendicular to the magnetic field, so always remember this radius as mv divided by qb, time period as 2 pi m divided by qb, and the frequency as qb divided by 2 pi m. So radius is mv divided by qb indicates if you increase the velocity, radius will increase. Time period is independent on the velocity. So very important point. Time period is independent on the velocity indicates if you throw the charge with velocity 1 meter per second, or else if you throw the charge with a velocity of 100 meter per second, time period of the charge which is moving with 1 meter per second, or else the time period of a charge which is moving with 100 meter per second will be the same. As the time period is independent on the velocity, frequency also independent on the velocity. Okay, and over here in the radius formula, always remember we take v always perpendicular to what? Magnetic field, right? So I'll write over here velocity will be taken perpendicular to the magnetic field. And one more very important point, time period and frequency is independent on the velocity. Time period and frequency is independent on the velocity. So I hope this is clear. Now in this, most of the students will have doubt, and that is in what is the charge on alpha particle, what is the charge on proton, what is the charge on deuterium, right? So I'll just compare it with proton, then we have alpha particle suppose and deuterium suppose. So if you consider charge on proton as q and mass of proton as m, then charge on alpha particle we have is 2q and charge on deuterium we have is q. Mass of alpha particle we have is 4m, that is I am comparing with proton, and deuterium we have 2m. So this values you need to remember always, because in most of the examination they will give deuterium, alpha particle, proton, likewise questions. Okay. So I hope this is clear. So now the next one. So next thing we have magnetic field on the axis of circular current carrying coil. Over here also the same thing. We have magnetic field on the axis is mu naught I r square divided by twice of r square plus x square whole raised to 3 by 2. And do remember one point, and that is magnetic field is maximum at origin, right, or at the center of current carrying coil. At the center of current carrying coil indicates if you go to the right hand side or if you go to the left hand side from the center, you will get the magnetic field decrease, right, or it is a decreasing function we can say, right? So this is the graph which we have. From this graph we can conclude that. Okay, so next one we have magnetic field inside and at the edges of solenoid. So this is the solenoid which we have. So if you see from this side, we have anti-clockwise current, and for anti-clockwise we have the north pole, as you can see over here. For anti-clockwise we have the north pole, and for clockwise we have the south pole. So in S we have clockwise, and in north we have anti-clockwise current, isn't it? So this is how you have to remember, right? So this is anti-clockwise indicates north pole this side, and if you see from this side, it is the clockwise current. So clockwise indicates the south pole over here. At the edges and at the center or inside the solenoid, if you see, the magnetic field we have is mu naught Ni, and magnetic field at the edges, if you see, it is mu naught Ni divided by 2. So the 2-3 point that you need to remember, magnetic field inside the solenoid is uniform. It is uniform or in a straight line we can say, and magnetic field at the edges is 1 by 2 times the magnetic field at the center. So magnetic field at the edges is equal to 1 by 2 times magnetic field inside the solenoid. So this relation is also very important. Now, if anyone has any doubt, they can always comment in the comment box. I'll try to reply to your comment as soon as possible. Thank you so much.